Well, hey, you, welcome back or welcome to another episode of the Miss Michaela Mae Show. I'm your host, Miss Michaela Mae, here with my corgis, Tank and Willie. And today is episode 10 of the Miss Michaela Mae Show, and we're going to do something a little differently than the last episodes have been. And I am going to work through something in real time on camera because I have tried to record this episode 5 times now, and I keep getting about halfway through and stopping. And so I decided to stop. I went and got some orange juice, and I typically drink out of glass cups, but sometimes and please do not ask me why. If you're on the camera, you can see it. But sometimes to give myself an extra boost, I drink out of a solo cup because it makes me happy. Because as I've mentioned, Toby Keith is one of my favorite singers, and sometimes I just need to drink orange juice out of a red solo cup, and it makes me happy. Why do random things make us happy? I don't know. This is one of those very freaking random things that make me happy. Because why orange juice and why a solo cup? I don't know. I don't know why this brings me so much joy. I don't know why this little random red cup with orange juice makes me so happy, but it does. Because after about the fifth time of trying to record this episode, I thought, you know what? Let me go get some orange juice. Let me just kind of ground myself because there's something going on here as to why I keep getting about halfway through an episode and stopping. And what I realized is I'm questioning myself. So I'm questioning myself about something. I don't know what it is yet. That's what you and I are going to work through in real time right now. And so I'm questioning myself about something, and therefore it's making me question how I speak, how I talk. So the reflection is not the root cause. So we have two things. We have the reflection and we have the root cause. And the job of the reflection is to lead us back to the root cause. What happens and why a lot of us experience things and we can't heal it or we can't shift it, it's because we are trying to heal the reflection and not what the reflection is reflecting back to, which is the root cause. So the reflection, meaning how it is showing up as I'm questioning what I say. I'm getting halfway through this episode. I'm like, did I say that right? Did I say that how I want? Did that make sense? Is it going to be bad? Did that even come out the right way? Did I say that right? Is it, am I having an existential crisis? A little bit. And so again, I decided to stop, go grab some orange juice, re-record, and thought, you know what? For today's episode, this is something I need to do for myself. Why not do it while we are recording? So here we are. So that is the first thing that we need to know. When we are experiencing a reflection, we need to know how we're feeling and what we're doing. So objectively, what am I doing? I am questioning myself. Again, it's showing up in me questioning the words I say, how I say it, what I'm saying, what I'm tying it back to, and yada, 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 yada. Okay. Questioning myself. Now I'm going to ask myself, okay, what am I feeling underneath the questioning of myself? Like, what am I feeling? And if I sit with it, I'm like kind of tuning into my throat. Because when I think about talking, I think about it like coming from the throat. I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting because when I feel like I'm talking, like who the core of I am, it's actually like coming through the heart and kind of out the throat. That was as I'm talking to you. And that's why this stuff can be so powerful to talk about out loud, is we can hear things in real time. So, okay, I'm talking and I feel like it's just coming from my throat and not from my heart. Like, okay. And the thing that is actually coming through is I'm doubting, like behind the question, what am I feeling? And it's like, I'm doubting. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then what are you doubting? And the most interesting thing is what I was feeling. It's like, I'm doubting my intentions. And one of the things that I have struggled with, and I've seen a lot of other people struggle with as well, and this is what I'm feeling, it's like doubting and questioning. It's like whether I'm a good person and I'm doing things for the right reasons. So it's interesting that I was even audio messaging with someone, and the way that she said a couple of things, it wasn't what she said, it was like what she said, how I felt about what she said. And underneath it was like questioning my intentions, like, am I doing things for the right reasons? So now I'm thinking like, oh, that's really interesting. On a deeper level, I'm really questioning my intentions, and I'm really wondering, how I'm doing and if I'm doing things for the right reasons. Okay, that's really interesting. So I'm actually just going to sit with it a little bit more and see if anything else wants to. Yeah. Okay. So actually, underneath that is feeling misunderstood. And that at some point when people say certain things about you over and over again, at some point you start to question yourself. Because if we're kind of taught this in our culture, right? Like if so many people say something about you, it must be a you problem. But one of the things that I have learned, honestly, a lot through astrology and then also through this other modality called human design is I have something. If you don't know human design and if you don't know astrology, this lingo is going to be a little foreign. But in human design, there's something called profile lines. And there's 1 through 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 profile lines. And if someone has in their profile lines a fifth line, they have something that's called a projection field. So in human design, I am a 5-1, which means I have a projection field. And in astrology, I don't know as much about astrology, but I've been listening to someone named Danielle McClearly. I hope I said her last name right. Her podcast is Danielle on the Daily, and she talks about also Leo and Scorpio placements having a projection field. And I am a Scorpio Mars, but I'm what's called, and if you know astrology, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't know astrology, again, this is very foreign language. I'm what you would call an Aries rising. So that means how I present myself to the world. And every rising sign has what's called a chart ruler. So I'm an Aries rising, mean my chart ruler is my Scorpio Mars because Aries is ruled by Mars. Again, if you're not into astrology, I understand this language is very foreign. But I'm ruled by that. So I'm ruled by my Scorpio Mars, which Scorpio has a projection field. And then I also have this fifth line in human design, which also has a projection field. If you are into human design, you kind of know what I'm talking about. 2 lines have a projection field. If this is your first time hearing about a projection field, go do a deep dive on it. If you are familiar with human design or astrology, it will change your life and put so many things into words. And the reason, even if you're not into these things, that I am bringing them up and the importance of them is when we hear things from people over and over and over again, we start to think like, oh, there must be something wrong with me. Like I am the common denominator here. However, if you have a projection field, the common denominator is not necessarily what people are saying about you, but that you are here to be a mirror. And so they aren't seeing you, they are seeing their perception or their projection of you. So when I sit with it of like me questioning my intentions, and I got back down to the like, oh, I'm feeling misunderstood. It's because I have never felt like people see me for who I actually am. And then again, learning these things about human design and astrology, realizing on an energetic level that actually is true. It has been very rare in my life that people actually see me for who I am. They see this projection, this perception, this projection field of me. Again, I especially young, like a younger version of me who had no idea what any of this stuff was, who couldn't put words to any of this stuff. I felt very misunderstood. Like even actually, it's interesting. One of my parents, I feel like, can see me fairly clearly. My other parent cannot see me at all. Like, I want to ask this parent, like, do you even know who I am? Like, this parent will say something, and I just want to look at him and say, like, you genuinely have no idea who I am. Like, you just know the projection you have of me, and that is it. Like, I've actually wanted to ask this parent, can you say anything about me? Like, do you actually know anything about me? And there is like this loneliness that comes to it. And this like goes even deeper to the feeling misunderstood. And now this is again why it's so important to even talk about it and share about it in real time. When I'm going back under this feeling misunderstood, I'm starting to see, because again, this pattern may be showing up today. But again, the pattern that's showing up today is the reflection. It's not the root cause. Why we keep going back layer by layer from the questioning myself to the questioning my intentions to feeling misunderstood, every time we go down a layer, it's getting us closer and closer to the root. So now from the feeling misunderstood, what I'm starting to realize and I'm starting to grapple with is, oh, again, this is just the reflection. It's been going on for years and years and years. So now I'm seeing, oh, I felt misunderstood by this parent, and I started to make myself more like this parent. Do I have qualities of this parent? Of course. We have qualities of both of our parents, but now I'm starting to see like, oh, I started to make myself more like this parent so that I could connect with them because I felt so misunderstood. And especially when we're a child, misunderstood translate to I feel unsafe. So this is very similar to what we would call a fawn trauma response. So to make myself feel more safe, I'm going to buddy up to this person and make myself more like this person. Again, it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be anyone in life. Okay, so now I'm seeing, to combat the feeling misunderstood, I'm starting to morph myself more into this person. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit with it. Like, okay, I'm feeling misunderstood. I'm morphing myself to like be more like this person, because ultimately what I'm wanting is safety and connection. But I also am feeling like foreign in my own body because I now don't feel like myself. I feel more like this person because I'm trying to like morph myself into them for the sake of like safety and connection. So I'm going to sit with that just a little bit more. It's interesting. One of the things that came up was how now I'm doing this to myself, how I'm misunderstanding myself, and how I'm not seeing myself for even like the actual, like what I was feeling was how I was able, like we're about 12 minutes into this podcast, of how I was able to get myself to the root so quickly, and the magic in that. Like I've started to take myself for granted and not seeing how like magical and how cool it was that like, look where you just got from questioning yourself to realizing between like what you're looking for is safety and connection. Like that was one of the things that's like, okay, now you're misunderstanding yourself, and the misunderstanding is like you're not seeing how magical that is because you're taking it for granted. So that was one of the things that came up, but there's a couple I can just, and the way that I feel it is like I'm still feeling resistance in my gut. And so because of that resistance in my gut, I'm like, okay, there's a couple more layers we gotta, like, you know, when you think of mud, I'm like, okay, there's a couple more layers of mud we gotta get under. So like the foreign, when I go to that feeling of like unsafety and like foreign in my own body, like the question that's coming up is like, what do I need to do to get to know myself? Like how do I, that's like a question of like, how do I get to know myself? Because ultimately when we know ourselves, we won't question ourselves. Okay. I'm just sitting with it because I'm not quite, there's a little bit, we can go a little bit deeper on this. These are all like pieces to putting the puzzle back together, but we still need a couple more pieces. Like starting with, if this is like even resonating with you, like for both of us, like starting with, what do you know about yourself? And even when I ask that question, it's like nothing. Okay, well, you know something. Like it's good. Like, and this is what's interesting about the brain, is the brain can say, like, the brain really likes absolutes, like nothing, always, never. It's like, oh, you don't know anything about yourself? Nope, sure don't. Well, do you like macaroni and cheese? I freaking love macaroni and cheese. Okay, so you know you like macaroni and cheese? No, I know I love macaroni and cheese. Oh, so you do know something about yourself? Oh, I guess I do. Okay, so even just starting, like nothing's too like nothing's too minute, or is magnute a word? Like nothing's too small or too big. Like all of this counts. So okay, start making a list of things you know about yourself, like 10 to 15 things you know about yourself. Okay, I know I like macaroni and cheese. Bingo. Um I know, like, it's so interesting because I would question when I first got my dog Willie, I would question like if it was the right name for him or not. I love the name Willie for him. So it's also interesting to see the parallels. Okay, at one point I questioned myself on this and now I love the name Willie. I think it's just the most perfect name for him. And I love that I got a corgi. Like a few people told me I was crazy for getting a corgi. I freaking love my corgi Willie. Just like love having a corgi. Even at one point, someone needed their lab rehomed, and I took him for a couple of days to see like, am I going to keep him or am I going to help rehome him for her? Because she didn't have like social media, so I said I'd take pictures of him and let her know like either I'm going to keep him or I'll help you find a home. Had a lab for a couple of days. I'm like, nope, love my corgis, so I can write like there. Now we're up to 3 things, so I'm not going to keep going down the list. I'll finish the list when I'm off of this recording. But again, there's nothing too small or too big for this because we just want to start getting our brain on board to see like, no, you do actually know things about yourself, and then we can keep getting deeper and deeper to the maybe what we would define as grander things. Okay, but I still need to go deeper on ultimately what I'm looking for right now is actually ultimately what I'm looking for, which is that safety and connection. But I'm wanting to see like, how do I want to achieve that? Like, how else do I want to get to know myself? But how else do I want to feel safety and connection with being who I authentically am? So I'm going to sit with that for a minute just to see. And what I personally am doing is, like I said, I feel that discomfort in like the bottom of my gut. So I'm sitting with it because wherever the emotion is trapped, if we can tap into the emotion and feel into it, it will release and send up some kind of what I would call signal, whether it be a thought, a memory, or a story. So I'm going to keep sitting with that for a minute. My nose is tickling. And it's interesting because again with the like perception field, it's like I'm afraid of like saying the wrong thing, being seen for someone I'm not. So right now what I actually have coming up is like a lot of fear around even saying certain things or being who I really am. So I'm just sitting there like working through like, okay, I'm afraid if I do be my authentic self, if I do say something, that I'm going to get criticized or yelled at or get, yeah, I mean, like, again, this is from a very childlike place. So the feeling is like, I'm going to be me and I'm going to get in trouble for it. So I'm actually, so I'm sitting like asking because that, um, if we're not to something that feels good, that means we're not to the bottom layer yet. So I'm asking now, like, again, kind of clawing through the mud, like, this is kind of another layer of mud. Like, how do I want to release the feeling like I'm going to get in trouble if I am who I truly am? And it's interesting. The answer that I got was like not falling out of love with myself when I say the quote unquote wrong thing, meaning there's actually another layer we can go to this. We can actually get to a point where we never say the wrong thing. Like what we say is actually always perfect. Because even if someone gets upset, they still are getting a lesson in what I said. So we can even go another layer, but what I'm looking for is like if I say something that upsets somebody, instead of like going and beating myself up for it, is coming back to like having compassion for myself and how did I actually ultimately say the right thing? Because either way, someone's learning and someone's getting a lesson, whether you say the correct thing or you say the quote unquote wrong thing. Again, the other layer would be seeing like nothing's actually ever wrong because we're always learning, but it would still lead back to that of like, I actually always say the perfect thing because someone is learning from what I say no matter what. And so lastly, I'm just going to see, did we get to the root? Yes. Okay. So now that I know that I got to the root, as we talked about, what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go make a list of things that I ultimately know about myself. And then I'm also going to go and find 5 core memories of when I felt like I said the wrong thing and see how it was ultimately the right thing to say. And then see how ultimately it was the correct thing to say. And then um, seeing how it helped me. And then the like final piece, the like cherry on top, if you will, is how can I have compassion for myself? Like bringing in that compassion, and not just compassion, but appreciation for how I said things the way that I did. So like, for example, and this is like, it's such an interesting thing, but one of the times, like if I go to those core memories of when I felt like I said the wrong thing, was when I had to testify in court as a child for the childhood sexual abuse cases. Like, no one tells you, like they're watching every little thing. And I remember like the day of, and I'm 13 at this point, I didn't realize, like, they never told me what words to say to describe genitalia. So I didn't know what words to use. And I don't know why. Bad words coming if you have children around, I guess. I've always hated the word penis. I just don't like it. Like, I just don't like the word penis. Why? I don't know. Why don't some people like the word panties or moist? Isn't that another word? People like, moist doesn't bother me, but penis? Like, it's no. And like, even when my friends were like starting to develop, like having conversations about that, like I'd say the word dick. Like I thought dick sounded way better than penis. And I remember going and like, but like they want you to speak as matter, even at that age, they want you to speak like as matter of factly and as black and white. So it's like vagina, penis, blah, 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 blah. Never had that conversation. I'm like, I don't mind saying vagina. Like, I know I'm not going to say pussy because that's just, even at that age, I'm like, I know that ain't good. But I'm like, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, I don't know if I could get up there and say penis. Like, I don't think, and it's like, I'm better with it now. But back then I'm like, I don't think I can say this. So I said dick on the stands, which is just like, whatever. But I remember feeling afterwards like I said the wrong thing and I beat myself up. And so one of the things I can go and see is like, oh, I'm actually really thankful that I did that, because as embarrassing as that moment was, I couldn't take like another piece of pressure on me, including saying penis instead of dick. So like, I'm so thankful to 13-year-old Michaela for taking that like token for herself of like, I've been through enough shit. I'm not also saying penis on the stand. Like, I'm going to say dick and we're going to roll with it. So I can go back to that core memory of feeling like I said the wrong thing and being like, okay, why was that actually the best thing you could have said? And that would be the piece of evidence for that. My gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to leave it at that for today. I just wanted to give you an example, like instead, like I gave you a few examples of like micro moments. We call that a micro moment, of micro momenting the moments where you actually do know yourself, but then also going back through to these core memories and seeing them from a different perspective. So I actually wanted to give you an example, but since that was the example we chose today, we're going to call it a day. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Miss Michaela Mae Show. I'm your host, Miss Michaela Mae, here with my corgis, Tank and Willie. And I don't know about you, but we never know what journey we're going to go on. And today we went somewhere. I'll let you decide where we went, but we went there. If you enjoyed this episode or found value in this episode, I would be very grateful if you rated, back to the words thing, rated and reviewed this episode. The reviews just really help grow the show and help other people find the show. So if you find value in it, that's just a great way to say thank you and show other people like, hey, I found value in this show. You would find value in it too. Thank you for your time. And until tomorrow, this was another episode of the Miss Michaela Mae Show.